Are they an alcoholic or are they not? The reality is, in the UK, I think the UK's probably got one of the worst drinking cultures in the world. I think everybody knows that. It's quite acceptable to binge drink. But binge drinking and drug use has now become such an epic scale. Somebody who doesn't see themselves as as somebody who's addicted, they probably are. So the reality is probably 50-60% of what we treat is down to addiction and abuse, but not necessarily with somebody who identifies as an addict.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I am here with Ashley Crown. Ashley, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little about your story, where you're from, and everything.
Okay, yeah, my name's Ashley Crown. I'm the CEO of a medical tourism company based in Tirana in Albania. We also have 3 clinics in Turkey, Istanbul to be precise. From the accent, which any Americans listening will immediately notice that I'm one of those annoying British people. I'm a Liverpool boy, so whoever knows the Beatles, or more importantly, Liverpool Football Club. I'm born and bred in Liverpool, northwest of England. Moved out to qualified as a lawyer, moved out to Miami and had 15 years in Miami with my business partner over in Florida, where we had clinics across the US, serving breast implants, hair transplants, weight loss. Moved back to the UK and started again on Harley Street in London and realized I was probably paying more money in tax than I was to myself. Plus, as well, pretty miserable country these days, England, with the weather, and it's such a grind in London. So my wife and I found Albania, and we've been here just over a year now, and it's an amazing country.
Great. So Albania, you moved there mainly for career reasons, not like change of scenery, or both?
Yeah, it was a bit of everything, really. Life choices. If anyone's lived in Miami or knows Miami, Miami is I think it's the little room you get to prior to getting on the escalator to go down to hell, mainly for your actions. Beautiful place, lots of opportunity, lots of bad choices to make.
Yeah.
15 years there, single. It was an easy route to get into what probably a lot of your listeners and subscribers will know. There's a lot of temptation, and probably from the depth of my voice and my hair, you'll realize I'm a man, and men don't have the best ability to say no to temptation. I'm of the opinion that God gave us temptation for us to say yes. I tested my abilities for 15 years and realized I had to change my life and my ways. So I moved back to the UK and I met probably what I call my angel, really, my wife, who's Hindu. So I met her at the age of 52. And my life choices have changed dramatically since, really. What was important before isn't important now. And for some strange reason, when you're happy, you seem to have a lot more time for good things. When you're sad, I think you end up spending more time thinking about the sad things. When you're happy, you spend much more time enjoying life. And we knew we wanted to be somewhere warm, not cold, wet. And Albania, I would say, is probably very, very close to Miami, to Florida in terms of weather.
Oh, that's great. So beautiful.
6-7 months of the year, it's nice hubs. For 3 months of the year, it's high 60s, early 70s. And then you get 1 month, maybe 2 months of winter where it's cold in the morning and at night, but it's still sunny and 65 degrees in the daytime.
Wow, that's awesome. So you just to backtrack a little, then we'll get to kind of where you're at now. But so those like say 15 years, you said you kind of blew away in Miami a lot. Like what kind of stuff were you doing as far as like were you addicted to alcohol or anything like that, or were you partying
It's
too hard? Or
Well, I'm proud to say that I'm half Irish.
oh, okay, so am I.
Yeah, so my liver kind of sniffs out any form of alcohol. Excuse me. I don't abstain from alcohol anymore. I like a drink every so often, but I used to drink a lot, used to party a lot, used to go to parties where, I mean, in Miami, cocaine is flowing more than water, probably.
Yeah,
So, yeah, you could say I had a pretty solid addiction to cocaine.
so did I. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, that's
And that everything that comes with that, I was a really high functioning addict, I would say. I suppose in a sense, I don't class myself as an addict because I was in a really fortunate position that one day I just said stop and I stopped and never really had any blowout, no fallout from that. So I'm probably one of the lucky ones, but nobody would have known who I worked with. I the 7 o'clock in the morning, hearing, well, in the UK, it's the milkman coming to deliver your pints of milk. Yeah, in the US, it was probably the sun coming out and you could hear the crickets. So, I did all that. It never really overtook my life, but it was my escape from the loneliness that I felt, I suppose.
can I ask what your maybe what your childhood and teen years were like growing up, and maybe if like those party days were you trying to numb something or escape anything, or what was your childhood like?
Yeah, there was a few things that I wouldn't want to talk about on here, but yeah, it's only after actually talking to professionals later on in life that I realized what it was, and I almost pushed people away when they got close to me,
Okay, I know the feeling.
and that's never a good thing in life, but you don't realize you're doing it. It's subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. Because of usually childhood traumas or things like that. Or like for me, for instance, it was moving around a lot as a kid. I was never able to settle down with anything, whether it be relationships, jobs. I was always felt like I had to be on the move, and it always just kept me very restless all the time, which gave me a bad sense of ADHD or something. But I think it had to do with childhood trauma as to why
Yeah.
I kept moving
Um,
around.
it's the it's the same with me, and a lot of things make sense afterwards
Yeah.
as to how I became as a person.
Exactly. So you're in. So you end up. So in the UK, were you partying pretty hard, or was it when you kind of went to Miami where everything kind of got out?
No, it was the opportunity in Miami.
Okay.
I mean, look, I'd been to parties in the UK, and I dabbled a little bit there, but it becomes different when it becomes something that you're planning on a Tuesday to make sure that everything's organized by the Thursday, ready for Friday. But on Thursday, because you've organized everything for Friday, Thursday night becomes Friday night.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then suddenly Friday, you're rearranging everything because you blew everything on Thursday.
Yep.
So, and then doing a full day's work. And the tiring thing, I think, is trying to hide it from people.
Yeah.
That's probably the most tiring thing is
Very
actually
exhausting.
hiding that and trying to, just everything. I mean, your nerves. I suffer really badly now with bruxism, so teeth grinding.
I do that too. My teeth, I have to replace them sometimes because I grind at night and I wear a mouth guard now. But
Yeah,
I have a
so
teeth grinding problem.
bruxism is one of the biggest causes of tooth loss in people who take a lot of cocaine.
Yeah.
Um, so cocaine jaw and the grinding. I still grind now. I think I probably used to grind a little bit, but now I'll suddenly realize that my teeth are physically clenched.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I now do Tai Chi and Kung Fu is to help with my breathing. Breathing, actually, for you, Ryan, breathing, if you don't practice your breathing exercises, it's a great way to actually release the tension that causes bruxism.
Yeah, somebody recently I've been going to yoga and I have a couple other friends that do breathing exercises. And even the other day, somebody did help me do one over the phone. And it was like, wow, this actually works if you take a full deep breath and just release it, you know?
Isn't it really
Yeah.
annoying though when
Yeah.
somebody starts preaching to you, but then you find out they're right?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like pretty much everything in recovery I didn't trust in. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's working. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, holy shit, it does work. My wife teaches boxing, she teaches martial arts, she practices yoga, she's a personal trainer,
Wow.
as well as being the operations director for the company. And she's always telling me about my breathing. She has to tell me to breathe sometimes
Yeah, it's tough. You
because
sound
I
like a
even just,
fast-paced person who's probably pretty on the go all the time, so she has to
yeah,
stop you in your tracks.
I'm normally working on the dining table at 10, 11 o'clock at night while she's watching TV with me.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, you can do half an hour. And I'll sit down and then she'll say, all right, go back to your bloody computer. I can see you want to. So this business is my baby, really, as was the one in the States. And so
So that
it's
was
almost like it's a really good crutch for me because it gives me somewhere to focus.
yeah, I want to know about that. So how did your career develop into what you're doing now? What got you into it? What catalyzed everything?
I was forced down a path of becoming a lawyer because the family were lawyers. We even had the maths teacher round to my parents' house to beg them to let me do maths at, we call it A level. It's the exams prior to university. So 16 to 18 you study for. I really wanted to do maths. I probably suffer with a little bit of autism, and certainly with ADHD. And I can look at numbers and I can work out what the answer is. Count if I see somebody's number plate, for example, the registration plate on the car, I'll count up the numbers to what they add up to. And it's a way of remembering it just doesn't. So I love maths. So I was more science. I pushed away, qualified with a great degree in law, and it's been very, very helpful for me in business life. But healthcare was something I had a massive passion for. So when I met my business partner in the US and we started talking, he's a brilliant guy. Business wise, there isn't anybody better. And we kind of hit it off. And we started doing the hair transplants first, and the science behind it made such sense to me. So I'll give you very briefly an idea of what I mean. There's probably 75% of men suffer with hair loss in their lifetime. Most people don't know why they've done it. I've sat and I've consulted probably over 5,000 men on hair transplants. And it's just hilarious because people say, oh, well, my mother told me it's because I wore my baseball cap too much, because I used to be a headbanger. I used to listen to AC/DC. It's because I've washed my hair too much. It's because the water was too hot. It's because I used too much gel. There is only one cause of pattern baldness, and that's testosterone. So, in effect, there is one cure for pattern baldness, and that is castration. So, Ryan, I could fly over to Seattle and I could cut your nuts off, and I promise you, you would have a perfectly thick head of hair when you were 60. And we found that out back, it was Hippocrates. So, the father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, where doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, he found that the eunuchs who used to look after the princess and the queen, and they were castrated when they were 10, 11, 12, they never lost any hair. So we've always known it. So in effect, and I know it's a societal thing where people see somebody who's losing their hair as well, and I know it sounds strange, but people think that that's not as manly as somebody who's got a thick head of hair. It's actually a sign that you've got lots of testosterone and you're a real man.
Really?
Yeah. If you look at bodybuilders, tell me a bodybuilder that's got a lovely thick head of hair.
That's so true. Now that I think of it, there's so many masculine men that I know, like the celebrities and stuff, and that they're bald, like Joe Rogan, for instance.
Joe Rogan, The Rock.
Steve Austin.
If you go through, my business partner was very high up in the bodybuilding league, and the amount of guys that were on testosterone and needed hair transplants was incredible. Very similarly, and this is the thing that I really love, female hair loss, and you would not believe, Ryan, the amount of women that are going bald in their 40s, 50s, and 60s is caused by the loss of estrogen and progesterone and the production of testosterone. So I'm going to give you an example. Do you remember how Madonna went very sinewy and muscly in her late 40s, early 50s? That's why they call a woman a cougar in their 50s, because they suddenly go from being estrogen and progesterone based, which is a very motherly, family orientated, let's look after the family, feed everybody hormone,
Like menopause?
with the menopause, and then suddenly think of, I don't know if you can remember back to when you suddenly started getting testosterone and you went from wanting to play with a microscope and do science games to suddenly going, ooh, look, there's a pair of boobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember like it was
So
yesterday.
a woman who's just been through the menopause has got the equivalent testosterone levels of a 16-year-old boy.
Wow.
So women suddenly go from having a hormone that says, please look after your family, to, pardon the French, fuck your family, go out and find yourself a young guy.
Interesting. So that's what happens
So
when women go into cougar mode, kind of.
yeah, and it's not anything bad. That's how it works. It's almost like the body tells the woman, you've done your job, you've raised your kids, I've given you a hormone that's helped you do that. Now it's your time. But the problem is, a woman's scalp is as sensitive as a man's scalp is. Women hide hair loss. Female hair loss is not spoken about. The wig market, if you can give you some idea, there are $6 billion worth a year of wigs sold. $6 billion, billion. I'll just check I'm using the B and not the M. It's billion. It's phenomenal. Women have to. Afro-Caribbean, Afro-American women particularly, they also have their hair tightened that tight. I've sat with girls who used to have their eyebrows lifted that tight by the mother. They used to put the pencil in and twist it round so the hair was that tight, and their eyebrows used to lift up. So they get what's called traction alopecia here.
Okay.
So it thins, and that's why the black women particularly will be more susceptible to wearing wigs than Caucasian women. Pakistani women as well, Indian Pakistani women will also lose quicker, but that's just one section of it. And when I started learning all of this, I'm like, Jesus, this is so obvious. You can't do anything about it. The only drug that you can use, and I won't use the trade name because I don't fancy a lawsuit. The finasteride is the generic name for it, and it's the pill that people can take. That is a 8% strength of the drug that's used to chemically neuter rapists. So you can take it, but you've got a very good chance that the cockerel will never wake you up crowing in the morning. So it's, and you've got to use it long term. So there's no drug. There is no drug. There is no product that can grow back a follicle when it's died. And it's utter BS when people say, oh, I go to this Chinese guy and he's got this herb and you put it on and all your hair grows back. Yeah, you know what? I've got well, I won't even go down that route. My sense of humour nearly caused you to be cancelled. So it's just not going to happen. So that science there is fascinating. And one of the things I loved and one of the things I got known for, particularly in the US, was actually being able to be honest with people and explain to them properly why it's happening.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many phone calls we get from people saying, I need this done to my teeth, I need this done to my hair, I need this done to my skin. And as professionals and as surgical consultants, we have to tell people, wait a minute, let's see what the problem is and let's see what the solution is. So if an 18-year-old comes to me wanting a hair transplant, 9 times out of 10, we're going to say no to them because they're going to lose the rest anyway. So it's better to wait till most of it's gone and then do it. Because if you're 18 and you've lost half your hair, let's just get rid of the rest of it and then carry on.
Okay.
I've had 70-year-old guys come to me who've had cancer and they want their hair back. And quite frankly, you have to sort of say, do you know what? It's not worth it for you.
Yeah. 'Cause they have to transplant the
Believe me.
entire thing, and that's
Yeah, and so I love, and with Cosmetic Express, there isn't a single patient that my wife and I don't build, or my wife or I don't build a relationship with. And our reputation is building on the fact that we give that proper care to people. If an 18-year-old girl wants a pair of boobs, I mean, in Miami, at 18, it was almost like a coming of age present. When I was 18, I was wanting a car. When I didn't get one, by the way, but I wanted one. 18-year-old girls, it's like, right, get your boobs done. And I was talking today to one of our patients who's a glamour model, and she was saying she's done a photo shoot in Miami, and she felt really attractive before she went to Miami, and it's really shattered her confidence going to Miami because she's seen what all the girls look like, and it's almost like a production line of beautiful women in Miami. And so she's going to be speaking to our professor of plastic surgery next week because I want him to decide whether she's right for a boob job. Because all these changes, you have to work out mentally whether people are doing it because there's something else wrong.
That's great. So, like, you don't take anybody just coming in and saying, I want a boob job. You actually want to make sure they're doing it for the right mental health reasons.
With everything. If somebody phones me up, and honestly, Ryan, the most classic line we get from people is, how much is it for teeth? How much is it for a hair transplant? How much are your boobs? Which, to be honest, is like saying how much is a piece of string. Because until I've seen you and spoken to you, I don't know if you're diabetic. I don't know if you have got an alcohol issue. So, for example, alcohol and smoking. The professor won't take on any plastic surgery patients who don't stop smoking at least 2 weeks before surgery. And it's not good enough. He will actually do a carbon monoxide test on you when you get there to see if you've had a cigarette for 2 weeks before. Because you have plastic surgery, your repair is going to be shot, and that's his reputation. And our chief plastic surgeon, who's probably one of the best that I've ever come across, I've known him 15 years, he won't do it because he doesn't want to damage his reputation.
Yeah.
So we get a lot. And funny enough, since I followed you on Instagram, I've been following quite a lot of sobriety. Sobriety seems to be one of the big moving topics recently on Instagram.
Yes. It seems like its recovery is becoming popular.
Yeah. And so I've spoken to a lot of people who have been addicted to cocaine or alcohol. Cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, they all have a massive impact on teeth, on hair, on skin. And if you'd like to, I can actually go in so that people can understand how it actually affects different parts of the body.
Describe it all. Yes.
So if we take smoking first, so the biggest impact of smoking on the body is in reducing the amount of oxygen that's getting to your cells. So your repair rate. So typically you've got cells in your body, and at given times there's one cell. Cell separation takes place, and then the nucleus goes into the new cell, and the old cell dies off. So believe it or not, all your hair is, for example, is waste from your body. It's dead cells with other things as well, things that you don't want in your body. But same with your nails. Your hair and your nails are dead cells, skin cells, cells within the body. So I don't know if you ever noticed your nails grow quicker when you go on holiday in the sun.
Interesting. Okay. It's just
Yeah,
like
so
less stress or
you go,
something.
no, it's not that, nothing to do with it. It's because you're getting more vitamin D and because it's healthier, nicer weather. And yes, you are a bit more relaxed. Your entire recovery process, and recovery is based on how quickly the body does that. If the body doesn't do that, you become like that last scene of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where everybody turns to dust and dies. So that aging process relies on oxygen being driven by the blood into the cells for the cells to repair, recover, regenerate. So if you smoke, you're immediately, number one, you're damaging your lungs. So your lungs are the engine house for providing the oxygen to put into the blood. You don't put as much oxygen in, your cells don't separate and regenerate as quickly. So because of that, what you'll see with somebody who smokes a lot is they will get more wrinkly, they will get a more grey look, and the skin, the elasticity and your collagen within your skin will start to disappear a little bit. So typically, I always think of a smoker. If you've seen the film, There's Something About Mary,
Yes. Yes.
with her roommate,
The
who,
lady that the tan.
there you go. So think of that. You smoke 40 a day for 20 years. that's what your skin's going to look like. If I don't know
Leather.
how old that lady will be now. If she is watching, I apologize, or listening, I apologize for using her as an example. But that's the look. Everyone
I
always seems,
reference her all the time when I fake tan. I'm like, I'm gonna look like that in like 20 years.
yeah, but I do as well. I'm a dick. I love going to the tanning bed because you
Same.
get a little bit of sun, little bit
Yep.
of vitamin D, and you feel phenomenal.
Exactly.
Um, so that's smoking. So for your skin, immediately what that's going to do is it's going to cause more loose skin, lines, wrinkles. Undoubted, impossible for it not to. For your hair, what it's going to mean is it's going to mean that there's not as much oxygen and your follicles aren't going to work as well. And if you think of your typical 80, 40 a day smoker, let's say, you'll never see them with a good thick head of hair. They look like that nervous person chewing the nails, hair kind of all over the shop, going a bit thin. And that's not because of the testosterone, that's because of the lack of the oxygen. Your teeth with smoking, and this is where smoking and alcohol and cocaine, all three have the biggest effect on your teeth. Think back to one of those nights when you'd been out partying and the dry mouth. A dry mouth is the biggest red light for anybody with their teeth. Do you know why your mouth produces saliva?
To maintain the composite of the teeth or something.
Well, it's one of the things is to maintain the acidity in the mouth, but number two as well, it's to wash away bacteria. So if you don't have that saliva, because if you think about it, it's a bit bloody annoying that every 20 seconds you have to swallow a little bit of saliva that you've produced. The body doesn't do anything for no reason. You know, why do we have a toe? We have a toe for balance. Why do we have opposable thumbs? That's developed so we can, I mean, Jesus, all my favorite food I need two thumbs for.
Exactly.
I'd be miserable as hell. So you need that saliva to wash away bacteria, and number two, to maintain the acidity. So those nights at 5 o'clock in the morning where you were desperately sort of listening to I Can't Get No Sleep and thinking, Jesus, come on, let's get to sleep. Let's think of something. In my mind, let's play a round of golf. Let's do this. Let's do that. You've got that dry mouth. Any bacteria you've got in there, and this is another thing as well, a lot of alcoholics and people with drug addictions do not clean the teeth before they go to bed. It's almost like you've got the anxiety, so you just get straight in. Because you don't clean your teeth, you've also got more bacteria in there because you haven't cleaned your teeth. And you've probably been drinking vodka and Coke, shots with lots of sugar in.
Like
So
the high
back,
fructose corn syrup and stuff.
yeah, so it's all adding up, and you suddenly think it's like driving your car through a vat of acid. You wouldn't do it, but you're leaving all that in there for your teeth. So most addicts will suffer with periodontal disease, periodontitis, where the gums start receding a little bit, they get a bit swollen. So ask anybody who's an alcoholic or who takes drugs, ask them if they gums bleed when they clean the teeth. The answer will probably almost certainly be yes, because you first of all get a little bit of swelling and a little bit of redness. When that happens, you can then get more food within that gap because it's not flush to the tooth. That then leads to bone recession as well, and that's when people start getting the loose teeth. And that whole cycle of bad gum disease leads to bone loss, leads to loose teeth. When you then lose a tooth, if you can imagine, your body is used to one tooth being there and one tooth being there, and they meet. When it's called the principle of mastication. And for anybody listening, I did say mastication. So that's probably a different podcast somewhere else.
No, anything on the show, it's fine.
You're expecting that, and your gums are expecting that, your jawbone is. If you then take that tooth away, this tooth is like that, so the body compensates and starts to loosen the teeth and let the tooth meet up because it's thinking maybe that tooth's a bit higher up.
Wow.
And that's what, so if you lose one tooth above, you're then going to lose the one directly underneath it or above
That's why
it.
you lose teeth, because the body thinks the tooth needs to meet up with another tooth because it started shifting.
Yeah,
Wow. That is
pretty much.
interesting.
So
So
that's
how about maintaining your teeth? Like, if you're doing drugs, you're drinking sugars and doing all these things, you get dry mouth, but you still take care of your teeth and brush your teeth twice a day and floss. Does that make a difference or just maintain them a little more?
Well, it will make a difference, but if so, I mean, cocaine's one thing, so you're never going to get away from that dry mouth. You're also imbalancing. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be listening to this or anybody that's going to be doing cocaine tonight who actually knows what the cocaine has been mixed with. And therein lies the other problem. If it's talcum powder, if it's baking powder, what acidity is that creating? It's creating an imbalance of acidity, which is then further complicated by you being unable to rebalance it because you're not producing the spit. That cocaine for plastic surgery, I've been dealing with quite a lot of patients who've been through addiction, they've come out the other side, they're getting their life back, and they suddenly realize that effectively they look like shit.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of that thing where they say the same thing. I want to get myself looking like people don't look at me and see the old me. I want to see a new me. So it tends to be one of the first things is teeth. The next thing is plastic surgery, and then in guys, a transplant. So that's cocaine. Alcohol is a whole different ball game, really.
Let's hear about that.
So alcohol, effectively, in simple, the biggest thing that alcohol does is it causes vasoconstriction of your blood vessel. So immediately what you get with alcohol is you get the little fine, if you can imagine like your scalp, for example, you've got very fine little arterioles that run through that bring the oxygen to each follicle. And if you can imagine you've got sort of medium brown hair, you were probably born with about 140,000 follicles on your scalp. So if you can imagine, you've got probably minimum 200,000 little arterioles, all currently now running with a little bit of oxygen to bring it to the bulb of your follicle to make your hair grow. You drink alcohol to any large degree, and I'm talking more than 3-4 units a day, or even more than 2-3 units a day, it's causing those blood vessels to constrict a little bit more. Because of that, you get a reduction in the amount of oxygen, so your hair doesn't grow. So your hair starts to thin a little bit quicker.
When I was at my one of my worst drinking benders about 7-8 years ago, I remember towards the end of it, before I was hospitalized, my hair was so thin, and every time I washed it, I was getting chunks of hair out and stuff. And I think it was just
Yeah. So hair, for example, grows in three main sections. And you have a phase of anagen, which is growth phase. So 80% of your hair at any one time is growing and getting longer. 10% is in a catagen phase, which is a resting phase, where the hair is there and it's still attached, but it's not growing. And 10% is where the follicle releases from the bloodstream and from your tissue and gets ready to leave so that a new one can come through. So when that happens and you're drinking and heavily and putting your body under that pressure, so anybody who's really ill, if you know anybody who had COVID, for example, a very good one as well is a woman who's postpartum, once she's had a baby, she's gone through that stress. So the worst time for a woman for her hair is when she's had a baby. And that's what was happening was your body was taking most of your hair into your catagen intelligent phase to shed it from the body.
wow. Okay, yeah, that was
And look,
frightening. When I was losing my
yeah,
hair at age 30, I was just like, what the heck's going on here? But I was killing
and
myself basically.
you look now like you've got a phenomenal head of hair.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope it stays there for a while.
Well, if it doesn't, you know where to come.
Exactly.
But that's so alcohol, particularly on hair, that's what it does. With teeth, it does the same thing that cocaine does. It causes you to have a dry mouth because it dehydrates you. So alcohol causes you to dehydrate, which means you should. The old adage of drink a pint of water before you go to bed. Sorry, that's the UK. In America, you drink a half a litre of water. I keep forgetting the metric way. Drink the water because that's going to help minimize the effects. Um, Effectively, If you don't do that, you're causing dry mouth. You're then causing the bacteria in your mouth to go. Again, if you've been drinking heavily, you may put a toothbrush in your mouth, but are you cleaning it properly? If you can't walk up the stairs, I don't think you're going to be able to clean each tooth individually. So tooth loss, hair loss, and then skin, wrinkles, fine lines, and you will get more flaky skin.
Do you do like
Something I've,
facelifts and stuff like that?
we do absolutely everything.
Do you personally do the surgeries
Oh no, Jesus, you wouldn't let me near you with
with
a
the
scalpel.
scalpel?
My wife won't even let me have the kitchen knives. So, but we have no for surgery. We have a professor of plastic surgery who is he's the only person that will operate on my family, and he's the surgeon's surgeon. So, what being in the industry for 25 years has helped us do is to pick the very best surgeons in the business. And we will not have, I could show you my inbox, Ryan. I have got doctors from Turkey, from Albania, from everywhere messaging to come and work for us because we pay what we pay well. But our business model is we don't want to spend money on Google, paying Google ads, because there are medical tourist companies that pay 50, 100,000 a month for Google ads. I would rather pay better surgeons and then have happier patients who then tell their friends and family how good we are, and they then come to us.
That's good.
That's how we did it in the US. We probably had the lowest marketing budget, and we don't, I mean, we do a little bit of advertising on Facebook just to keep our presence there. But we handpick our surgeons and they get the best conditions. So if they want a nice bit of machinery, they get that bit of machinery. So they've got a great place to work. Um, a happy surgeon. And I don't know if you've ever been for any medical tourism abroad. There will be some people who have 50% of our patients are from the US. So,
It's more
and
affordable in
of
Albania.
course, in Turkey, more. The flights direct to Albania start in February, March next year. I know Donald Trump has heavily invested in Albania and the Saudis are investing heavily here. This country is it's a haven. Honestly, if you want a vacation, please we'll put you up. We'll host you and you will
Don't tempt
see
me.
it.
I might. I've been looking.
The beaches are like the Maldives. It's actually called the Maldives of the Mediterranean.
Wow. Okay. I need to look
It's
this up.
green, bluey green hue on the water, perfect white beaches. The people of Albania are the most hospitable people. And I've always said civilization comes from the noun civil. And civil means how you treat your fellow man to me. So there's parts of the States, there's parts of the UK, there's parts of a lot of the Western world that I don't class as civilized. Because if you can't treat your fellow man civilly with respect, then you're not civilized. Albania, we've made so many friends here. The people are just adorable, the way they treat you. A woman could walk naked through the streets and they would put a coat on her, get her in a taxi, and make sure she was home safe.
Wow. Just
The ha-
hospitable and chivalrous.
yeah, there hasn't been a rape in Albania for 25 years.
That's
There was
incredible.
one stabbing last year. So that's the stabbing. In London now, there's 1.5 deaths every day from stabbing.
Jesus, I had no idea that Albania was that good of a place. You know, I'd never like in media and like movies and stuff. When you hear about Albanians, you hear about like these gangsters or mobs or
Yeah,
something.
Taken, the film Taken with
Yeah,
Liam Neeson, that was
exactly.
the Albanian gangster.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Do you know what? Every country has criminals. Every country has, people who are straight, people who are gay. They have men, they have women. In Albania, one of the biggest things you can do is steal. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you steal from somebody, the whole community would gather round and would put it right. All I can tell you is, as a visitor, somewhere now, I've actually got the Albanian flag tattooed on my arm.
Badass. I like it.
Yeah.
Got a few
I mean, I'm
tattoos
a,
myself.
yeah, I'm a, I love my country that I was born in, but where I was born, and I don't think anybody has the right to be in any country.
Yeah.
I think everybody has the right to be everywhere.
Sounds like your heart is in Albania though, because it seemed to
Yeah,
change your life.
where I am now, my wife, who's Hindu, so she still gets a lot of racist abuse in England,
Yeah.
even though her family have paid far more tax than most people, and she called it home. But when I see my wife being racially abused, I don't like it. That causes stress. Her family, now her father was held up by at gunpoint last year. He's dying of cancer at the moment. He was held up at gunpoint for his watch and his wallet, and he had a gun pointed in his face. And he's 90.
Wow.
So you tell me,
Pretty
and
low.
that was just by somebody on the street in broad daylight. This isn't 3 o'clock in the morning in a back alley. This is walking down a high street at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, this is a civil country, and that's why, I mean, Turkey's very good too. Don't get me wrong. People go to our Turkish clinics and our Albanian ones. If I can say to anybody, if you're thinking Albania is a place to visit as well, so something we now do, we have a package where we do a 2-day retreat prior to your surgery. So people can come as a group. There's the most amazing waterfalls in the mountains in Albania. So you can actually go and we work with a Shaolin teacher and a yoga teacher, and you can go and have a 2-day retreat with your friends
Wow.
and study a bit of kung fu, get taught some yoga, eat fresh food overlooking a waterfall.
That is so cool. So it's more than just coming over for a surgery and then flying back. You actually get the full experience.
Yeah, we take quite a few patients. If they've got a day off, we'll just sneak out the office for a few hours and take them to the beach just to show them round. There's Roman ruins in the nearest city to us, right by the water. There's the amphitheatre where they used to, because Durrës, which is the nearest port to us here, from Bari is 2.5 hours, 3 hours by water. So the Romans used to come over. If you think of Albania, this country's had such bad luck. First of all, it was invaded by the Greeks. Then it was invaded by the Romans. Then it was invaded by the Turks. Then it became communist, and it was only in 1991 that it left communism. So I've never seen a country where Christianity and Islam live side by side in perfect harmony.
Yeah.
The Christians fast with the Muslims. The Muslims celebrate Christmas better than I've ever seen any Christian do.
Really?
So it really is. I mean, you can probably hear it in my voice. It's a great place.
No, that's great. So I was curious, like, so you talk a lot about you've been doing, it's all about plastic surgery and helping people. What percentage of people do you think are people that are formerly, addicts or in recovery? Is it a majority of them, half of them?
No, I would think. Okay, I mean, if look, the definition of what an alcoholic is will never be settled. Somebody who drinks 5 nights a week and they probably need that drink to get through the night. Are they an alcoholic or are they not? The reality is, I mean, in the UK, I think the UK's probably got one of the worst drinking cultures in the world. I think everybody knows that. It's quite acceptable to binge drink. But binge drinking and drug use has now become such an epic scale. Somebody who doesn't see themselves as as somebody who's addicted, they probably are. So the reality is probably 50, 60% of what we treat is down to addiction and abuse, but not necessarily with somebody who identifies as an addict. There's a reason for everything. The reason why, I mean, look, food addiction is probably, I mean, the biggest killer in 10 years' time will be obesity and diabetes. That will be the biggest killer. I think it's virtually there now anyway.
Do you do a lot of surgeries where you staple stomachs and help with excess skin?
We don't do gastric sleeves. That is something that can't be done in tourism. There's a lot of people come to Europe to have gastric sleeves done. We're not, and I've spoken to all the surgeons here, you need regular checkups for 2, 3, 4 months afterwards. Now, the NHS in England and I mean in the US, they will first thing they'll say is, you've had this done abroad, we won't treat you. There's actually a case on BBC News in England recently of a woman who died 12 months after because the NHS refused to deal with the complications she had from the gastric sleeve, and she ended up going into a coma and dying.
Wow.
And so, I understand the principle of, look, I don't want to deal with somebody else's surgery, but when somebody's in pain and somebody's going through it, you treat it. However, gastric sleeves is not something we will do. One of the biggest things now, and actually it's probably going to be one of the new addictions, is people are addicted to taking Manjaro, if you know the weight loss jab.
Okay. It's kind of like Ozempic, just a little more hardcore.
Exactly the same, yeah. It's virtually the same chemical entity. Um, but there's now people addicted to Manjaro. So what you're getting is when your body, and this is one of the things that, so no plastic surgeon wants to treat somebody who's lost weight quickly. Because what's going to happen is when you stop taking Ozempic, you stop taking Manjaro, what are you going to do? You're going to put it back on again.
Yep.
And I've had people say, we used to have a line of weight loss pills in the US. And people used to phone up and say, look, if I take this, can I still eat what I want? It's like, it's not the bloody point.
No,
That's like
you got to
saying,
change your
I'm going to take
mindset.
a
Just
pill
like,
that's not going to make me get drunk,
yeah,
but can I still drink loads of alcohol?
yeah.
So we want somebody to change the lifestyle. And we want to work. And so the dental surgeon, my chief dental surgeon, she is phenomenal. I've never known anybody inject into the roof of your mouth and you don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know she's done it. She will not treat somebody who smokes. She's like, look, there's no point because you're going to ruin it. And so we're very, very careful. And everyone says, oh, everyone always tells me to stop smoking. Well, why are you spending X amount of money on your teeth and then putting something in your mouth that's the reason why you've lost them in the first place?
Yeah, you got to change your lifestyle. Just like quitting drinking and addicts quitting any kind of drug. It's like
Mhm.
you got to do more than just quit it. You know, you got to change your whole way of thinking.
Yes, exactly. So we were very, very set on the fact that we will take on somebody and make them look how they want to look. We always check they're doing it for the right reasons. Our plastic surgeon, so we're seeing a big increase in the amount of people who want tummy tucks and liposuction because they've exploded to, let's say, 100 kilos, then they've dropped down to 75 kilos, but the skin has been stretched. And there's also going to be pockets of very stubborn white fat that you just can't get rid of. And because of that rapid weight loss like that, you're getting people who've got the saggy belly, so they can't wear a bikini. They've got to wear a one piece because it's got to hide that loose skin. Similarly, when you lose weight quite quickly, you'll tend to lose it off your face as well. So you get the looseness here, and we're doing a lot of lipo and chin tucks as well.
Okay.
10 years ago, it was more rhinoplasty. Now it's blepharoplasty as well, so the eyes. So when people binge and they stay awake long hours and don't sleep as well, that's when you start losing musculature around your eyes. So we're doing a
Things
lot
start getting
more
them
of,
saggy and stuff. Okay.
yeah. And we are doing a lot of that. The skin, I mean, with plastic surgery with skin, you can't do anything if the skin's in bad condition. We can only tighten what there is. For example, with stretch marks on the stomach, we're going to be able to get rid of some of it, but we can't get rid of all your skin because we saved that sort of stuff for Hannibal Lecter. But there are some very good laser surgeries that can smooth the skin a little bit. But it really comes down to we love treating somebody who actually has turned their life around
Yeah.
because it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
We've just had somebody who's had the teeth done and they've had the face done, and the look on the face afterwards, they cried when they
I
looked in
know.
the
It's
mirror
like a
because they're
reward,
like,
you
"Oh
know,
my
you're
God."
like, I worked so hard to get to this point and now I can see it in the mirror, you know?
Yeah, and that for me, it's like the midwife who loves delivering babies.
Yeah.
It's almost like I've
Rewarding for
really
you.
done something. And that's why we're so keen on making sure we have the best surgeons, because what we get is, if you can imagine somebody who's saved the money up after they've been through all that trauma and they've been through the sobriety and the withdrawal, they come and they think they're going to have a great surgery, and then afterwards they're dissatisfied.
Yeah.
I couldn't live with myself with that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and we're not that company. We're the only British American owned clinics in Turkey or Albania. Um, we have very westernized values. My wife's an empath. I'm a bit of an empath as well. I feel people's pain. Hate people's upset. So we build very strong bond with people, and we get our business from people like you coming to us.
Yes.
and then saying to other people, "Oh my God, this is just the best place to come to." And everybody, if somebody wants big boobs, there's neither you nor I nor anybody can say why that person wants it. But if it makes that person's mental health, feel better and feel confident, it's brilliant. One of the girls I was talking to today, she's a newly promoting glamour model, and she's been to Miami. She's had the photo shoot. They're all up on her Instagram. But she said, I realised I've got to really step my game up. So she wants teeth doing and she wants bigger boobs.
Okay.
And that's the career path she's made. And some people say, well, it's a waste of money. But do you know what? If it gives people the confidence to actually be in control of their lives,
Yeah. Why not?
addiction happens for me when people lose control of their lives, when they're not in control of the book they're writing. And it's almost like somebody else is writing that book for them. And if that confidence that we can give them makes them write their own middle and ending, then it's good. And we do it at a phenomenal price. To get your full mouth done in Seattle, let's say where you are, would be $35,000 to $40,000 for teeth. We'll do that for about $7,500.
Wow. That is huge savings.
I don't know how many people you know who can afford $40,000 for the teeth, but there's not many.
Not many.
And usually the people who can afford it haven't let the teeth get to that stage.
So for a full set of teeth, it'd be like $7,000 as opposed to 40.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the implants. This might be a stupid question, but I've always wondered this. How is the maintenance of implants compared to your real teeth that you were born with?
Well, there isn't any. So the implants are made of three little sections. So they're made of the bit that goes into the bone, that's like got a hole in it with a thread in the middle. Then a little abutment, which is like a little screw, goes in, forming a post sticking up that the crown then slips onto.
Okay. So
If an implant's done properly,
so if somebody stays addicted or goes back, will they have a chance of losing the teeth?
they'll have a chance of a bit of bone loss, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
There'll be less chance of infections, although theoretically there could be a little bit more. It'll be the same, basically. If you're going to get somebody who's going to hammer cocaine, there's nothing you can do that's going to stop gum disease and bone loss.
Yeah.
Short of drinking half a litre of water every hour, and swilling your mouth out every half an hour. But even then, you're still going to have that bacteria. You're going to have the hormone imbalance as well, which is one of the other issues. And that's also the issue then with depression, because, of course, what does cocaine do? It gives you a massive boost, and then your body suddenly thinks, well, I'm not going to produce any serotonin or dopamine. I'm going to wait for that lovely white powder to come in, and then it'll come.
Yep.
So when you get the fall down the following week, people then stop looking after themselves as well, and it's a vicious cycle, and it's an ever-decreasing circle that leads to bad skin, bad teeth, bad hair, and a bad look. We are a company that will sit and listen with people. I've had some very frank and open discussions with a lot of our patients, and it does good. The reason why we have the help booklets for people is so they understand why they're getting something and why we maybe won't do one thing, but we'll do another.
Makes sense. So it's incredible that people, addicts actually have the opportunity to reward themselves for the hard work they're putting in and be able to get the surgeries they want to look the way they feel. So
Yeah.
that's amazing what you do. I really appreciate it. So what's it been like? I've been curious because we talked about this earlier, but what's it been like for you quitting your own addiction to cigarettes? It sounds like it's been about 2-3 weeks now. What's that been like as one of my...
I mean, I've got the vape,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it's a bit of nicotine, but it's not the same. It's not the smoking. I've done it for my wife. I'll be honest. If I'd realised how much it meant to her, she always looks at me and she says, Ashley, I don't want you to die earlier than you have to. I want to have the most life I can with you. And you sit back and think about that and think how selfish it is that, I'm going out and smoking. And then you think, well, am I actually really enjoying it? Probably not, because I used to go outside onto the balcony. Everyone would tell you this about me. They've never seen anybody smoke a cigarette so quickly. I can be in 45 seconds after lighting, and I've smoked virtually the whole cigarette. So my whole life and my whole outlook on life from all the addiction really is so different. The happiness that I have now in my life, things that I always knew were important to me, but I never allowed that side of me to come out. It was always a very hard exterior. Now I'm able to enjoy being me, and some relationships that I've damaged over the years, I'm now starting to build bridges with
That's great.
because of the way I was. And so do you know what? It's what you're doing, I think, is fantastic.
Thank you.
In actually giving people somewhere they can listen to, because one of the first steps, I think, for anybody is to be able to say you can do it.
Yes, exactly. I needed to hear that myself, and that's why I got so inspired to do this because I knew how important it was for people
Yeah,
to still believe in me when I was at my worst. And crawling out of it, I was like, I want to do this for other people too. And it helps me
yeah.
while I do it. So it's been
And
incredible.
similarly, with our business, what we've done, I've seen so many people have bad surgery abroad, and I love being that safety net for people
Have
of,
you?
look, you're trusted. Everybody speaks English. We even have a list of all the restaurants that serve American food. So we have an American diner nearby the clinic. So when they come,
You can enjoy their
because I
food.
have heard the odd time people go, "Oh, I don't like the food." So we make sure. And by the way, I've just seen your Mustang on the wall behind you.
Oh, yeah, my
Um,
dream car
so,
right there.
but yeah, we love to provide a voice as well. A lot of people are very closed when they first speak to us because they're not willing to open. And I love to give people that voice to actually say, "Look, no, I'm not." People say, "Can you just give me the price?" And that's it. And I'll say, "Look, we're really not the clinic for you. Go somewhere where they'll just give you a price and do a treatment and be disappointed."
And
I I want people to know they're doing it for the right reason. If somebody's having a facelift, I can't reverse a facelift once it's done.
so you can't, do you do fixed botched surgeries if it's possible, but not all the time?
Yeah, we a third of our work is fixing jobs that other people maybe not have been disasters, but they've not been what they wanted.
Okay. That
So
makes sense.
breasts, particularly breast implants, are. I mean, it's really is a very personal thing,
Yeah.
and so we do a lot of surgeries to put breast lifts right, facelifts as well, teeth work you wouldn't believe. Implants, not as much, but it's more the quality of the crowns. So if you have the zirconia too thick, it completely changes the way you talk because your tongue touches the teeth because they're too thick, and suddenly where you've spoken lovely all your life, you suddenly have a lisp.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, "Why are you talking like that? Have you got chewing gum in your mouth?" I mean, we had one guy and I always look at Denzel Washington's smile,
Yeah.
and it's a great smile, but it's
It's,
a
yeah,
big smile.
so symmetrical. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've also got to think about the size of the teeth, that you've only got a certain aperture that you can open your mouth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you make the teeth too long, you can't get normal food in your mouth. Or if you do, you can end up with lockjaw and a really bad jaw. You can end up with severe problems because suddenly you're stretching your jaw too much. So it really isn't just make my teeth whiter. There's a lot goes into it, but yeah, it's from an addiction point of view, we will always hold the time for anybody. It's not about judging anybody, and
Good.
it's certainly not about judging where people are in their life either, because too many people in life judge, and you cannot judge. I know the old saying, you can't judge somebody until you've walked in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Walk in somebody's shoes for a day and then decide whether somebody's literally clinging to life by an inch.
So true.
And you can't get rid of the addiction until you solve the underlying problem, because it'll always be there. Solve the underlying problem, get rid of the addiction, and then enjoy. We're here. I'm a big Ricky Gervais fan.
Uh,
And Ricky Gervais says, "You're not here for billions of years. You're here for 80 years, and then you're never going to be on the earth again. So make the most of it."
I love that.
Being drunk and being high as a kite all the time is not the way to enjoy.
That's so perfectly said. I usually ask for a quote at the end, but that's like the perfect quote. And can you announce a little bit just how people can reach you for all the people, whether they're in recovery or not, or people that are, you know, want to maybe change their bodies because they've, been through addiction and they want to, look the way they feel. How can they reach you and really respect what you
Absolutely.
do? And I would love people to go your direction.
What we've done actually is, Ryan, we've created RBWR, which is Rock Bottom with Ryan, with VIP 10. So anybody who listens to your podcasts or subscribes to you will get 10% addiction and 10% reduction
Perfect.
and free VIP upgrade. And they can go, the easiest way probably is to go to Instagram, Cosmetic Express. That's with a D and not a T. So Cosmetic Express. And if they put RBWR or RBWR VIP 10, they will get through and they will actually come through to me so that I can speak to anybody. And we have an amazing team of people here who are ready to listen. My wife will sit and listen to anybody else. The only person she won't listen to the problems of is me, because apparently I don't have any problems. But everybody else she will listen to. And they can contact us. We will make them look nearly as good as new.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been awesome talking to you, and I respect what you do, and like you're passionate about it, and you really like you give me and I think a lot of listeners a whole new outlook on what surgery and all the after things of not just addiction, but people that want to change for the right reasons, a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Don't rush into, if I tell anybody one thing, don't rush into it and don't be sold to. You should never be sold plastic surgery. You should do it because you're advised in the right direction. But I wish everybody a sober, well, it's evening for me. It's 8:15 in the evening here in Albania. I wish everybody a great, happy life.
Thank you.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.